I wanted to start by showing you a few of my larger hollies. This is a fence row of hollies planted just about 30 years ago. These are mostly Ilex opaca with a few Coniana and an attenuata mixed in. Now, as I said, 30 years ago, these plants have now been pruned repeatedly in order to keep them at around 16 feet tall. That's about the highest I can get them using my orchard ladder for pruning. And as much as I love those mature hollies, they do present a problem. I just don't have room anymore for all the little hollies that I want to keep collecting. Those come from the Holly Society meetings, from the Test Holly program, and from nurseries, because I just can't resist every new variety that comes along. And even more so, I want to evaluate some of my new seedlings that come up to see whether they might merit introduction on their own. So here's my solution to that problem of running out of space to plant new hollies. So here's the answer to what I've been doing with a lot of my leftover hollies. This is the neighborhood entrance where I live, and about 35 years ago, the developer planted about 40 white pines, only about 8 feet on center. And those white pines got to be massive. And unfortunately, if you look up here, they also grew right into those high tension lines. And because of that, we had to pay to get those removed. That left us with some 400 feet of frontage with just nothing there whatsoever growing. Barely any grass would grow at all. So we started out planting these green giant arborvitae up at the front about 4 years ago, and you can see they have grown fantastically well. But down farther, we were left with about 150 feet still open, and that's where I put the hollies. So here we are where the hollies have been planted. You can see there's about 40 of them planted here over the last 3 years, and these have come from a bunch of different sources. Some of them from the Holly Society meetings, some were test hollies, some were given away from other people, some are seedlings, you name it. Anything that looked like it had some promise of filling in the space, we planted out here. This has been a tough place to grow plants because we got no source of water, so newly planted things need to be watered with jugs of water. But by and large, we've had good success over time. A couple of plants died, but we had plenty to replace them. One plant that I want to highlight is this one here. It's a seedling that germinated in 2014, and we've named it Orange You Pretty because it has orange-red fruit. Now, if we take a little bit closer look at it, we'll see that it has large serrated leaves and looks a lot like another holly, Elizabeth Coleman, which also grew in the garden where this seedling emerged. The fruiting was unusually heavy on this one, and you see here, we'll take a look at some of these fruit now. Big clusters of fruit, even on a young plant. And this one, as I say, only germinated in 2014. So we're looking at a 7-year-old plant that is now about 6 feet tall and 4 feet wide. We've taken a bunch of cuttings off of it as well, and it looks like it's going to be fairly large and upright. Difficult to say for sure how hardy it's going to be, and because of that, we selected it as one of our test hollies for 2021 and made the decision to propagate it. These fruits, let's take a look at the fruits again, are going to get a really nice orange-red color by about the end of December. For right now, they're still green right now at the end of September. After we decided to propagate this little plant, we started them off in these trays of 2-inch pots, and we're really delighted to see that a little plant like this roots very nicely after just about 3 or 4 weeks. These are overwintered in a cold frame, and then repotted in the spring. And then they really take off. And behind us here are some plants at 1 year old. And you see at 1 year old, they're now up to about a foot tall or maybe a little taller. They're starting to put out some branching and of a caliper of maybe a quarter of an inch. Really pleased with the way these have taken off. So still in quart containers, this is what we'll be sending out as the Test Hollies to the participating arboreta. This is another of our Test Hollies. This is an American holly selection, Ilex opaca Sundown. Sundown is a really nice selection from the wild that was found by Sue Hunter in Felton, Pennsylvania in around 2008. She selected that plant, has propagated from it, and registered the plant with the Holly Society in 2019. So these are about 100 cuttings you see here that Sue started last December that we are featuring in the Test Holly program again for this year. So alongside Orange You Pretty, we'll have 2 Test Hollies for 2021. The plant was selected for its unusually dense branching habit, the deep green color of its leaves, and its heavy crops of larger than average fruit. If we look at a couple of these 1 year old cuttings, you'll see that nice dense color and fruit setting even on some of these small plants here. Nice large fruit even on 1 year old cuttings. It's a really nice selection, and coming from Sue, who handles thousands of Ilex opaca in any given year, to find one that she finds worthy of naming an introduction, I think is high praise indeed. I have seen the original plant, and it is spectacular. Anyway, our Test Holly recipients will receive 1 of Ilex opaca Sundown and 1 of Orange You Pretty shipped for evaluation this year.